Start the stream?
Yeah. Shit's working. It's the magic trick that the box down there did that made it work 2 weeks ago. It's doing it again. So now it would be working even if I didn't have it fixed today.
Awesome, man.
Except the downside of the magic trick makes it so that the stream has all black bars around it. So I will fix that now, but we can start without me having that fixed. I can fix it while we're live.
NVT stands for Network Vulnerability Test.
What?
NVT stands for Network Vulnerability Test.
Okay.
Just double check.
I don't know.
So I have the object connectors, and it's got
Yeah, that's what it is. So public areas of us can get data and make it private.
Okay. I would always have two separate classes, like inheritance for the public class, and create a private class of all your objects. And then the public class, that's where you inherit all the private data types. So that way, if someone was trying to hack it, no one would be able to access the private class because that's a separate.
Yeah, it's all inaccessible right now.
It's all what?
Inaccessible.
Oh, okay. Is it Ryan coming?
No, Ryan has to be at work.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came out today because of that whole thing with our landlord. And,
Oh shit. So what's up there on that?
huh?
What's up there on that?
We'll just talk afterwards. It's a long
Is it being a little bitch now?
Huh?
Is it being a bitch?
The landlord?
No, is he being a bigger so like after the whole text message?
Kind of. Just ask. All right. Get the slides pulled up, or?
Oh no, I did not. I should already be logged in if you go to ucyber.slack.com. So Nate. So man.
You want me to just plug my laptop in up there?
Not after I spend an hour getting this to work today. I'd rather you did not.
Okay, cool. What we gotta do?
Just go to Slack and get them. Like I said.
Yep,
Yep, I'm already logged in.
Yeah, I had to go lay down a bunch of topsoil and seeds for my house owners who never showed up. Come look at it. 6 minutes. For real? No, this picture showed up. I think we get it. We'll be starting in 1 minute.
Exactly 1 minute?
Exactly 1 minute.
Okay. If you're not here, I'll start with that.
Yeah.
Try not quick, turn off the light, and we have to do the test.
Yo, why don't you go? So you can't get us.
Turn off the projector, it's like, everyone. It took you 1 minute and 5 seconds to get back, we got bored and left.
5 minute rule.
So you guys know how, like, if a teacher or a professor shows up anywhere after 15 minutes, you're allowed to go if the teacher's still not there.
I don't think
There was a professor who showed up it was like 16 minutes after the class was supposed to start. So everyone's currently like filing out. The professor's like, hold on, I'm here. Let's go back inside. I know I'm a little late. Let's go back inside to class. everyone just kept on walking.
That's brutal.
See, I was talking to some older
Alright.
workers at work, and they said it was 5 minutes back in the 80s. It's like 3
I wish it was like a minute. It'd be great. All right, guys. So welcome to meeting 48. We're going to be going over Docker for easy tool demos and deploying. So hopefully in future meetings when we're covering tools, we don't have as much of a problem with getting everything installed and getting everybody on the same page. You know, maybe standardize things and make things nice and quick. So I think we have a couple new people here tonight. Is anybody here tonight from our tabling yesterday? Don't think so. Okay, well, oh darn, maybe this Friday. I know people have classes. But I think, Nate, you brought some friends with you, and would you guys like to just say your name, your major, and I guess why you're interested in cybersecurity? So we'll start.
Okay, I'm Easton. I'm a history major. Jay brought me here. We're all in the honors program, and we have to give a presentation on cybersecurity.
Cool.
And I'm Serge. I'm in cybersecurity, and I like the field because it's just exciting.
Yeah, no, it is exciting, man. Always changing. And I think she knew, or you knew it too. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm in Marjorie. It's not my first meeting. I
It's
came
not-
here once last semester.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, Marjorie. I'm terrible with names.
Terrible memory.
Yeah, terrible memory. I can't remember everybody.
Terrible president. We need a new one.
Yeah, terrible. So we'll just go over a couple things real quick and have some of the leaders here introduce themselves. So we have 5 different committees that you guys can get involved in. We have content, finance, public affairs, outreach, and recruitment. Each of these serve a very important role. They're a great way to get involved, get some leadership experience, put something on your resume. So, Jai, you want to talk a little bit about public affairs? And
Sure.
There's the head of outreach.
I'm a public affairs side. I'm Jai. Pretty much from the social media kind of liaison between like our chapter and everyone who wants to get involved with our chapter. Currently, we have a couple members helping us. If you're interested, please.
Cool, and you guys should definitely get on Slack too. I always bang that through. Everybody says, usecyber.slack.com. Go to that link, put your UC email, and then you can keep up to date with everything we're doing, ask us questions about anything. I'm always on Slack. I can always help you out. But Corey?
I'm Corey. I'm from the content committee, and we basically go out and we find you guys something cool and interesting that we think you should learn this week. Last week we did a presentation on just different cybersecurity conferences in the area. This week I'm going to be talking a little bit about more government stuff related to cybersecurity, so just kind of whatever's in the news, and that's kind of what we bring you. We definitely always use more people, so if you're interested, let me know.
I'm Greg, and I'm the head of the Recruitment and Retention Committee. Basically, we just go out and tell people about Cyber. We did a tabling event yesterday. I went out and got some Phil's donuts. People so they come talk to us.
Excuse me, did you just say UCyber? Yeah.
Cyber,
That's their old name. And then Alex?
Yeah, so I'm Alex, I'm on outreach. Sorry I'm casually late. But so what we do for outreach is we've got high schools, we're going to get them involved with like cyber stuff. So we have an outreach event Friday the 13th. Forgot to mention that.
Good.
So if you guys are interested in helping me out with that, I'm still finalizing all the details on that. See me after the meeting or shoot me a message on Slack.
Yes, that's Lakota East.
I don't think it's Lakota, but
So, some other school, but we're going to go and you'll figure it out, and then we'll have a nice little fun time going over some cool cyber sexy tools or something there. So some ongoing projects that we have and we have had for a while, because this slide like never changes, is the cyber range, which should be coming who God knows when, because UC moves slow as molasses with freaking anything. We are going to be building a Rapids Grant Cyber Operations Center with about $200,000 worth of donations. Our lab format has already been finalized. We know how the lab's going to be set up. It's going to have 8 workstations, 3 server racks, all decked out, and 2 55-inch plasma screen televisions. That's going to be in 516 ERC. All that is on the books, ready to be ordered. We're just waiting on renovations, and God knows how long that's going to take. But it's...
Are they actually plasma screen?
They're at, yeah.
I didn't know they made those anymore.
I don't know, Franco. That's what Franco said.
So I could be completely wrong. Maybe they're OLEDs. That'd be way even awesomer. But you know, ammo LEDs or something. Who knows? And then we also have a server up on the 10th floor, which you know I've kind of set up a small malware sandboxing lab using Cuckoo, but I mean we can do a bunch of things with it. We have a 32 terabytes, 2 Intel Xeon CPUs, and 32 gigs or 64 gigs of RAM. So if you guys have a project or something you want to host on some hardware here at UC, we finally have a static IP for it, and that's all up and running, and you know it should be good to go. And if you want to help us out with any of those, please let me know. That might be something interesting for a project. I don't know.
IT gave you the IP address?
IP address, yeah. So some announcements before we get to the cyber sexy stuff. April 12th, John, you were nice enough to mention this in the Slack. There is a Capture the Flag competition at NKU. For those of you unfamiliar with Capture the Flag, it's basically like a hacking competition. You get like a remote server that they have set up with vulnerabilities, and you have to take advantage of those vulnerabilities, exploit them, and then you grab the flags, or you grab like a file name or something like that, which would be the flag. And the more of those you get, the more you win. So I definitely want to go to this. It's on a Thursday, if any of you guys are wondering. So if you're interested, I think I might make another Slack channel about it, or we could just kind of post and figure this out in the main general Slack channel. Cincinnati B-Sides is on May 12th. I don't know, is registration open yet?
April 6th, I believe.
Registration opens up a week before? That's what they said?
No, it's in May.
I mean, May 12th. It opens up on April 6th?
Yeah.
Okay, so registration opening up on April 6th. We'll probably send a link out to Slack so everybody can register for that if they want. And then we might reach out to some collaborators because I know, or organizers, because I know UC definitely has a professor that teaches malware sandbox, or malware, some kind of class with malware that helps organize it. So we might be able to get free tickets. And then tabling this Tuesday went great. Thank you, Greg, for putting that out and handing out these donuts and hot chocolate. That was awesome. And I guess another announcement I totally forgot to add on here is that this Friday at 6 o'clock, we're having a social event. What's the room again, Corey?
At this point, it should be 649 Baldwin.
649 Baldwin. You want to make a post on in general?
I was just waiting for them to send us the confirmation email.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can go ahead.
Might as well post it and just go for it. Yeah, so there will be free pizza and board games, and you can bring a computer. I mean, last time we had a great bunch of fun. I don't know what we played. It was some kind of like Jackbox or something. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, so yeah. We got soda and snacks, so it's always a good time. If you guys have any other ideas on social events, please let me know. I mean, I'm always looking for something else cool we can do. Maybe go to B-Dubs again, or I don't know, play paintball, or who knows. Sky Zone. We should do frozen paintball. You know. Is there anything new with the OC3 website, Hayden?
Not really. Everything's going well. That's slide from last week. So, yeah, I will probably have updates next week, but right now there's nothing to say.
Cool. All right. And now we'll get started with our weekly content. Corey, take it away.
All right, so this week it's a little bit more government themed. We're going to start with last Wednesday, Atlanta was hit by some ransomware by this group called SamSam, who typically when they go after someone, they try to go after people that have a lot of money, but they are very critical in some way, and they just can't afford to go down for any period of time in order to try and maximize the likelihood that they're actually going to get their ransom paid. They typically try and get a ransom of about $50,000 whenever they go after someone. The ransom for the city of Atlanta's web services and such was $51,000, and they had until today to pay that ransom. At this point, Atlanta, up until now, has not made any sort of move that would suggest they are willing to pay that. They've been working on getting all of their services back up. The really critical services like 911, all the infrastructure services like water treatment and all that were left alone. They were not attacked by this ransomware. But other things like, for example, all of their network for their municipal system is down. They have gone so far as to, even as far as yesterday, they still have no Wi-Fi in any of their airports, and they have advised all government employees to shut off their computers until just yesterday, just in order to try and minimize the possible spread of the malware. For anyone who doesn't know, a ransomware typically operates by, it gets onto your machine, it encrypts files, and then it gives you some sort of ransom demand. And if you pay that, ideally they will decrypt your files for you, and then hopefully never come back.
You don't have to.
There is no way to guarantee that they will decrypt your files for you. Sometimes they'll just hand you a key that may or may not be bogus. Who knows? So these guys have actually done this before. They've done it a lot. We believe that they have managed to successfully extort over $1 million since they started in, like, I think it was 2008. So they're making pretty good bank off this plan.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Here's just a couple of sources. This first one and the second one are just kind of talking about what have been the consequences of this attack, and then the third one is more just like what it's like for the people who aren't working in the government right now, just the sort of problems that are coming from this. This is a really big indicator of some of the sort of things we might start to see in the future as cybersecurity becomes more and more critical. You might see more things like a terrorist attack. Instead of destroying a building that's got a lot of people in it, they might take down some really critical services instead. That might be the new form of terrorism that we start seeing.
A new form of warfare. I mean, if you can lock down a nation's power grid, if you can lock down a city's water filtration, if you can destroy those critical operations, I mean, it's pretty bad. And today, there really isn't the level of security that there needs to be on these critical pieces of infrastructure. As you guys who went on the PNG tour, how many of you guys went on the PNG tour? Yeah, you might have saw that you could take down a PLC, which can run like, say, a water purifier, or, I don't know exactly, but PLCs run most factory things. Could be taken down with a simple ping scan, if you're doing it enough. So it's crazy, and that's field OT. Actually, I think it's like operational technology or something like that.
Yeah,
It's a very niche field, but OT security is definitely something that if you can specialize in, you can make some serious money and perform a very needed task.
Yeah, and all of the articles that I looked through, it was more than what came up here. They did say that the infrastructure was not attacked, but it said nowhere that it failed to attack the infrastructure, which makes me feel that it was simply just not targeted in this instance, so as to avoid perhaps too much interest in finding these guys.
Interesting.
So this next one, State Department has put a bill in to possibly be passed or not about setting up a bug bounty program on State Department websites. They actually did a pilot test in 2016 called Hack the Pentagon, where they had, on this next slide, over 1,400 hackers made attempts to hack the Pentagon. Out of the 240 vulnerabilities that were reported, 138 of them were actually found to be viable as potential bounties, and they awarded $75,000 in prizing, and that's just for the Pentagon, which is probably more secure than a lot of other State Department websites. And the entire program cost them $150,000 to run, but when they went through and they did an estimate on what it would have cost them to go to some sort of penetration testing firm, they estimated it would have probably cost the government about $1 million to do that through some sort of private company. So it seems to be very cost effective. It's got bipartisan support, and if you look down here, I've got a quote from the Secretary of Defense, at least at the time of writing this article. I definitely suggest you go through and you read my article on this. Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's a good move in the right direction.
Yeah, no, I really like what this quote is saying. He's like, there are a lot of bad guys out there, but there are a lot of people out there who do want to help too. So, I mean, that's part of why we're all here. Is I'd like to think we want to do some good. I don't want to think everyone in here is looking to grow up to be a big bad black hat someday. This last one it's really the big one I wanted to talk about tonight. It's this hackback bill that's been put in. There's a lot of controversy around this on whether or not this is going to be a good idea. Basically, if I'm, say, I don't know, Google, Facebook, whatever, and I see that someone's trying to attack my systems, this bill, if it goes into effect, would allow me to perform some measures in order to disrupt the attack, try and figure out who this attacker is, destroy any sort of files that they might have stolen from me, and I did not write this, oh yes I did, beaconing is also viable. So if you get into their network, you can then use beaconing to try and determine their location as well. This does not allow you to destroy anything other than your own files that have been stolen though. So it's not like, okay, I'm just going to go and I'm just going to delete the attacker's entire network or anything like that. But they do keep using the term active defense whenever they're describing this, which is something I want to point out is not typically what active defense means. Active defense is normally used if you're trying to do something like move files around or employ some sort of deception, like maybe a honeypot or something. That's typically what you think of when you think active defense, not when you're actively counterattacking against the people who are after you.
A simple example of like active defense would be saying have an intrusion detection system that doesn't detect but prevents. So be it IPS, an intrusion prevention system. So when it sees something weird in a packet sent over the wire, it actively denies it instead of just passively letting it come through. So
yeah,
the terminology is active defense is not.
Yeah, it's not really a good term, and that's kind of the one that's being passed around a lot. I think just because it sounds really nice.
Yeah.
A lot better than counterattack, probably.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of concern around the potential of this bill to create more victims. I thought I had a second slide. Oh, well. So what it is, for example, if I'm a bad guy and I want to attack, say, Google, well, I probably don't, like, if I wanted to DDoS Google, I can't afford the resources to do that. I don't think any one individual probably could. But what I might do is I might hack a lot of other things to create myself like a botnet, and then I might start a DDoS attack, or I might use those botnets to create a reflection attack. So I send requests to other servers that say to send information to Google, and so suddenly Google's being DDoS'd, and they respond by attacking these servers that are after them, but those servers are really just victims of what I did. And so there's a lot of concern of creating more victims, and also the potential to create this corporate cyber warfare, where, okay, well, Facebook attacks Google because they don't like that they're making Google Plus. Well, Google retaliates, and so Facebook just goes back after them again. And there's a lot of concern around that too. So there are some potential benefits to this, but it could be risky. So
the battlefield of cybersecurity is a very gray area, And then what he was talking about a little early in his other slide on bug bounties, something that I would really like to get in with everyone here is after we finish the certified ethical hacker content and we start really getting into these exploits and stuff, I think it would be interesting if us as a chapter started taking up and looking at some of these bug bounties and maybe covering proper ways to disclose the vulnerabilities if we do find any. So that's something I think it'd be interesting to cover if you guys think so too. So Chris, you want to help me out with this? So we're going to be continuing with our certified ethical hacker content, and this is a little joke thing. What is this? GPS.
It's a joke for now.
Joke for now. So Chris will take it away on this, and I'll chime on in.
All right, so today we're going to talk about what virtual machines and Docker containers are. I think just about everyone in here has used a virtual machine already, but maybe you haven't used containers or Docker. And really what those are just really, really small virtual machines that don't emulate hardware. but it's going to demystify it if you've never used it before.
Does anyone not know what a VM is? You don't know what a VM is? You tell. It's basically simulating a computer inside the operating system of the computer using something like a hypervisor. Yeah. You know hypervisor.
Put your damn hand down.
We can get into that another time.
Yeah. So today we're going to be going over how to install Docker and then how to put tools through Docker like OpenVAS that we can use as an attack platform, or really a scanning platform. So what is Docker? At a high level, it's really just a very small VM. It's not emulating any hardware. It's all software. So it's a lot more efficient on your machine. This is the answer to the question, we are not shipping your machine, we're shipping your software. Well, now we can ship the entire machine as our software. That was funny to me. It allows deployments of very large and complex interconnected software systems without a large amount of setup on the user's side. So you send someone a Docker file, it says use this OS, download these programs, and configure them this way. It's a lot easier than setting up a full server.
Yeah, you guys are going to see today when we reinstall the OpenVAS how much easier it is.
Yeah, typically your manual OpenVAS install takes about 25 minutes. With Docker, it's about 5 minutes of waiting after 3 minutes of typing. Not even 3 minutes, 3 seconds of typing.
It's like 3 or 4 lines.
Yeah. So if you got a Linux distro, or this will work with Windows actually.
Or Mac.
Or, yeah, all platforms really.
All platforms.
Except BSD.
So, how many of you guys downloaded Docker before the meeting? No? All right, at this point, I highly recommend you go to Docker's website, docker.com/community edition, and grab the software for your operating system. And that shouldn't take too long to download, but how many of you guys already have it? So a lot of us already have, and the rest of you guys need it? Okay, so, whoop.
I've done something.
Here, I think, it's back. I'm very confused.
I've undone something.
So go ahead and start installing that. And if you need any help, let us know. We'll be coming around, and then we'll move on. Make sure that everybody has their command lines down, and then we'll get OpenVAS.
I spent an hour talking, finding the right person at UCIT, and so this setup should work. It shouldn't be week to week whether or not the computer works. It works every week. So.
You wanna buddy up the valves? Okay. From the Docker stuff. Docker doesn't like your computer. Docker should be able to install.
Did I switch it back?
Install the newest version. You can't install Docker on regular Windows. It just doesn't make any sense.
Install Docker on Windows.
Installation of one prerequisite Docker for Windows. Did you install it through the website? Yes.
Yeah.
Google installing Docker without Windows 10. You gonna follow more?
I wasn't.
You gonna follow more?
So I use Docker at work.
I know you wanted to do OpenVAS stuff.
I don't know, I've done it for a while, but I've done this last semester.
Just can't believe Windows would deny that.
Wait, what?
Like, it says you can't do it on Windows 10 Pro or Windows 10 without being Pro.
Do you use Docker?
That's stupid.
Not really the flame thing.
We probably got a Linux VM. They could just install it in their Linux VM too.
This is true. Yeah, if you have a VM, you can install it there too. Thank you for it. So you might be able to install Docker on that VM too. You guys all have what do I do after? You got it downloaded? Alright, so once it's done, just sit tight. Are you going to install too?
No, I'm not, so it comes up as reading purges.
Just get it from the website. Just do it that way. Grabbing it from the website instead of doing it through the app is not always more preferable. Just depends on your OS, but if you're on Ubuntu, it shouldn't be a problem. You're something more picky like Cali. Yeah, Cali's pretty picky. It's a very specific repository. It's a list of because of its steps. You have people get stuff in set up?
Sure. Is anyone having trouble? Do you want some help? Do you need help? Okay. So you gotta do that.
If you look. Huh. They say look for an older version, Alex. Of Docker, I guess. Or like download an older version of it. I don't know. I think the new version. That's so stupid. It makes me hate Windows, and it makes me hate Windows even more. It's just the dumbest stuff.
Oh, this is so nice to use.
All right, so I know not all of you have Docker installed yet, but these are just some commands I might as well go ahead and put up on the screen. Just some really basic Docker commands. Docker will show all Docker commands. Docker run will run and create a new container. And we're gonna, in the next slide, show you the container grab. I mean, I might as well just get to that. Start, stop, the containers you have. And then this is a really, really helpful one. This shows all your running images.
Security helps, you know, because the buffer is really nice the way that they put it.
Yeah. So if you have Docker already installed and you want to go ahead and get OpenVAS installed, go ahead and run that command line right up there. And then we'll hopefully get everybody on the same page here.
Oh, you want to open it?
No, I want it closed.
That one already is closed. It's all the other ones that are.
Just twist it.
You need to get one of those fancy classrooms that has the blinds automatically closed when you turn the projectors. They have some of those.
Did you see it was going to snow on Saturday?
Is it? I don't know.
It's so stupid. I hate snow.
Is it really going to snow?
Bullshit. I demand a refund.
A refund. It's going to snow.
I like to file customer service complaints.
Yesterday morning, and then it was like 80 degrees in mid-afternoon, and then it was like it's like cold again now. I don't even know what's
I
happening
was
with the
so
weather.
sick last week because in Miami it was like 90 degrees straight, dry weather, and then came back up here, it's like 30, 20 degrees.
I'll try that.
Where is it, introductions?
Maybe. I don't have problems like that. I just How many of you guys are doing this command right now? Okay, that's good. That's good. Once you do that, help people out. What?
131.
I've run. Dude, it's like no matter what we do or what we try, there's got to be some stupid issue with like tools. There's always little things. Screw you with those.
So I'm trying to update my 431. Critical errors. This is critical / error one base.
For what? What did you do?
Well, I'm trying to update.
You're trying to update the system. Just try not to worry about that right now. Just go ahead and install Docker and just see if that runs. Those are probably some kind of you might have added a repository that you didn't remove, or just trying to update from a different repo. I just well, good. So this will. Can you share that link at Slack? Alex, maybe I'll go figure it out first. So as you guys are installing, I guess I'll keep things interesting. I'll tell you a little bit about some OpenVAS terminology, some stuff you might have not heard before. Have you guys heard of an NVT? Heard of NVT? Yeah? Yeah. NVT stands for Network Vulnerability Test. These are a little different from just a typical scan because it actually tests for the vulnerability. And on OpenVAS, you can update this huge list of NVTs that it can run through when you're scanning through other networks, your own, or whoever you've been paid to do it for. So NVTs are really cool. I recommend Googling them and checking them out and learning a little bit more about them. OpenVAS has a huge list of them, so when you have OpenVAS installed, you can go ahead and check some of those out. I know we've talked about CVEs here before, but some of you may not remember. They are common vulnerabilities and exposures, and they're, like it says, a dictionary of publicly known information on security vulnerabilities and exposures. So a couple weeks ago, we went over Searchsploit, that little command line tool, Searchsploit. That's really awesome for searching through CVEs. So I highly recommend you give Searchsploit a Google. I don't think it's apt-get install Searchsploit. I think it's like apt-get install exploitdb, because it's based on exploitdb, which is a whole bunch of these. And this is what OpenVAS uses to score vulnerabilities, the CVSS, the Common Vulnerability Scoring System. So it's just a framework to characterize vulnerabilities, how bad they are, kind of group them, whatnot. So Pat, how are we doing on the OpenVAS installs? Working on it. Yeah, OpenVAS install. You ran the right command over there? Okay. Go to localhost on your browser. HTTPS 127. Yeah, I'm trying.
I have.
Some users don't have that package. So basically, there's go back a slide, yeah. You could just keep running the see if it works. I did not run through that.
Maybe not.
Can I just get a show of hands on who all thinks they're going to be there this Friday?
Beware. I'll be at the social this Friday.
Friday?
This Friday? Yeah, this Friday's social.
My friend's 21st is Friday, so that's
Okay.
I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
I might come. Why didn't you go last 6? I was home. Because Bailey can't make up his mind.
So,
Well, like, drinking, because you might not even have trying to mix it? I mean, I'm not going to tell anyone if you bring alcohol.
It's actually
But it's all so technically it's
just
not
keep it in
allowed.
the stacks on the
But I would like to point out what happened to Ryan last time. We got all kinds of pictures of that. So.
Did you really? Well, Ryan's an idiot.
oh,
Ryan's
Shots fired.
No, O'Connor.
Oh, okay.
Shots fired.
Just
I
grab
thought
the
Ryan was
Docker.
an idiot to his face.
Grace.
Yeah. Did you hear what? Did you hear this? Apparently Ryan O'Connor.
Okay, I'll be right
spilled
in.
beer in his backpack.
When?
Yeah, the last, social night. That's what it was saying.
When you see the Steelers, just root for them.
I just finished it. Nice. So good.
So how many of you have OpenVAS up and running?
I'm working on it.
Okay, 2, 3, okay. if you have it running, feel free to help out those who don't. Just try to get everyone on the same page.
I'm extracting.
And then after that, go ahead and so this is going to be super helpful for us in future meetings because once we have these Docker images and we all get comfortable with it, we can just, throw up about any tool we need. Yes, we can. And I'm going to switch this.
It already switched. It does it automatically when you plug in something new.
It already switched to
Yeah.
it's on that one.
Huh?
I need it back on this one.
Oh, okay, yeah, then you switch it. Yeah.
How do?
You just hit the button on this thingy.
Oh, it was out of my sight.
Yeah. I'm looking at a better switch we can get that isn't so awkward.
It's all good.
That one really wasn't this.
So I would recommend just going on and trying to figure out how to click scan.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
It's really slow. So yeah, it's underneath tasks, right? And then there's a little purple like wand on top of it. It's very nice. But there's also an update script. Update there. I don't know if you want to do those right now.
How's it going? Also, he's really sad.
How's it going? There we go. So, you're a cybersecurity major for this school, right? Yes. More people need to hear about that. You see everything is going
So, come here, real quick. When you program, do you tend to write everything out, or do you tend to set something with variables and use variables?
Wait, you said you variables equals other variables?
No, like, see, like right here, like right here I set a variable. Do you tend to like set a variable the same type you might need on a thing like that, or will you just use this whole string? Like, see how I say like
would you
like
I
like
just
where
say,
I say items here dot size?
So like you would say like
would you do that, or would you just take this whole string?
no, I would use
Like I did right here.
yeah, it's more readable that way. I mean, it can depend sometimes. Yeah.
What time is the social meeting?
6 p.m.
Oh, okay. What time are you guys ending?
I mean, we have the room until like 12:30 or 1:30 or something like that. So, but I mean, Baldwin is it's just we can make whatever.
Oh, okay. I might stop out for a little while before.
Yeah, I mean, I can't promise people will stay later than midnight. I don't think they did last time, so.
If there's like the same amount of people, we definitely gotta get two.
Yeah, we demolished it.
That was easy. That wasn't even a problem.
Yeah, it's not even like people had to do like the last 2 or 4 selections throughout the night or anything.
Oh yeah.
to the team server, and then you might have they can see when you're requesting Facebook. They can see the data is trying to achieve. They can see if you TLS your message requests, you have to set to the server was specifically able to make them TLS inside. And you
That's the GA.
so you can, your ISP can say that if you're a small business, you focus on your cybersecurity, your spy, figure out where your guys are going. So it's just one thing. Yeah, so it's another great thing to have. But like, there's so many things. So many. I learned I had a lot of you know. It's crazy. It's really awesome. I mean, we do hardware stuff in there too. Yeah, we talk about how to ice RAM, put dry ice on RAM, slow it down, how to extract the bits off. So then we show you capture normally, and then rip the RAM away. Plug it in the computer, and it's stolen image off of it. So it's like, we've gone in depth on the other stuff too. But the thing is, we can't always do that. Some people,
I was just about to get there, but I ran out of I'm running out of space.
What's up? Are you kidding me?
I tried to leave some shit.
Start releasing some shit. Purge some tools, I don't know. Are you good? Oh, hell yeah. What's up?
So, I want to start this again, make sure that there's not that help.
Yeah, exactly. What's the data card, right?
Now it's just like certain packages each other working, so yeah.
That's your level. Yeah.
You don't know what's going on. Outside this without you saying.
Confirm denied.
Reciprocation. So it's going to iterate through the last one. So 8 times 3 is 24. Each of these is 8. So you're saying, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go 4 people. So the first 24 bits slash 4. And then you iterate all each 2. That's great. So how's it coming? Yeah, just on your local host. Is it still running?
Yeah.
It takes a while.
Yeah.
Did you give it any like SSH credentials and stuff? No.
I'm sure we
Yeah. Just like remind me, have a terrible memory. How are you doing, guys? We got it installed. Move things along here. We good? You want me to start talking about OpenVAS? Or we want to wait like 5 minutes, make sure we're all good. Nate, how are you doing?
Getting there.
You're getting there? Is it installing again?
I gotta find more stuff to delete. I gotta make code.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Both Nathans are having this.
Yeah.
It's installed though? And it's run.
It's RN for that.
Quarters already allocated?
Yeah, if you're in
Okay, we'll go ahead and not let it go dark here. Come on. All right, so let's see here.
It is. Are you trying to do that computer?
This computer.
Probably need to sign back in on here. Yeah.
And is it working? Hey, we have light.
Okay.
So, for those of you that had already installed, something that you can do that's nice is change the admin password, because having admin as the username password for any of your devices is just stupid. Don't do it.
It's almost as stupid as setting your password to uCyber.
Yeah.
Cough.
Yeah.
Cough, cough.
Yeah. It's not my responsibility. But you shouldn't be saying that stuff. Yeah.
Why are you telling people that?
Yeah, I know.
More.
It's changed now. But it's also a Docker container too, so it's not that big of a deal. But I mean, good practice to probably not have admin. And then here's something nice. If you want to get into the container and interact with it on the command line, you can open up your terminal and type in docker exec-it openvas space bash. That will open you up into a bash terminal or instance on the container. And then these two command lines here, I wouldn't recommend running them right now, but maybe make a quick note of them or something. Greenbone-nvt-sync and OpenVAS md-rebuild-progress. These will give you the most up-to-date network vulnerability tests and common vulnerabilities out there. And that's going to be really good, because if you're running vulnerability scans, you probably want the most recent information. So for those of you that have it and are kind of confused as to where everything is in this interface, this is where we start. We'll start on the normal dashboard. And I know I covered this a little bit last week briefly, but I feel that we didn't really get into it that much, or some people weren't able to get it installed. So this is why we're covering it again. These would populate if we had run some scans, and those of you that are running scans on your local host or other domains will see things here. We can see these are our network vulnerability tests. We have 5,626 high critical, so if they find these, it's really bad. 22,000 mediums, a couple log levels and lows. Here's a nice little graph of the number of CVEs that have come out so far and have been added into this tool, and you can see it's on a new year, so we have still yet to climb. But last year, man, that was a big year for CVEs. I mean, look at this spike. It went from 40 less than 40,000 new ones, or the peak year maybe was at 2014. They added like a little over 40,000, and last year we added about 100,000. Which
the dash line?
The dash is total CVEs. I don't know where I guess they're getting that from. What am I saying? ExploitDB or CVE databases. But it's pretty crazy. So it's a booming field. Stuff's happening. Severities, and then this will show you a nice little graph. I showed you guys that last week. We want to know about our security info that we're going to be scanning for. So this is a nice little dashboard that shows us more about our info we're going to be scanning for. So there's our NVTs, we saw that in the first screen. Our CVEs, how many we have and what priority they are. And we can see how many advisories have been released. So this is just updates on things that have happened, hacks that have happened, vulnerabilities that need to be looked at. And here are the priorities for them. So this is just a nice little screen to break some things down. In configuration, we can add target lists, edit our report formats. This is nothing too in-depth here. Under one of these, yes, feed status. All of these CVEs and NVTs are fed by these feeds. See the Greenboat community feed, OpenVAS SCAP, SCAP feed, and CERT, Computer Emergency Response Team feeds. And these are what allows us to search for things. You can see the last time they were updated, so 6 days old. So you can add new ones of these, I believe, but I have never found a reason to. But I think I've tried once. And now we want to go to how to scan. So for those of you that want to figure out how to scan, we're going to go to tasks. And I don't care about this wizard here. This will populate by the amount of tasks that have come back as bad, good, or whatever. They'll show you the severity. That's just more visualization. It's hard to explain without seeing it there. So what we're going to do is we can do advanced task wizard because we're really nice and advanced here. Oh yeah, she's real fine. So we're going to name this scan testing test. So there's a couple different ones. We've talked about discovery here before. It's just going to be basic IP range scan through. Full fast ultimate, full and very deep ultimate. Honestly, I haven't found much of a difference in these. I know full and fast is fairly fast. I think ultimate is supposed to pull more and go through more tests. I would recommend probably just doing full and fast for today. But if you are ever on a red team or something and you really want to dig deep and see what's going on, either one of these should do the job. Host discovery, I don't see really much of a difference between discovery and host discovery and system discovery. I would assume this is just operating systems, but for me, if I'm trying to figure out what OSs are on a network, typically I'm running in-map anyway. So we'll do full and fast. So right now we have our own IP. I think that's my IP. And in this range, we can do a number of things. Like we could say .1 to 255. We can go through that entire range, or we can do it in sitter notation with the /24. Let's zoom in here. Too much. So this is really easy. I mean, I think you can even do a comma separated list of things in here if you really wanted to. So their target hosts box is really nice and easy to play with. I think, let me see here. I'm gonna jump to this, and I know you guys can't see this, but I can. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna grab my own IP here. Actually, I might scan I'm on my house's VPN network, so I'll scan that for vulnerabilities. Let's see what's happening here. So we'll scan that whole sub range. So if you're tasked with keeping track of the vulnerabilities or security on a set of systems, I know I said this last week, but just to reiterate, you can create a schedule, which is really nice. And you can even have this emailed to you. So if you're working at a company and you're like, hey guys, are we vulnerability scanning every so often? Are we looking to make sure that all of our computers are all right? And they say no. So well, let's get you started with OpenVAS and create a weekly schedule for scanning our machines. That'll impress them. We can pass SSH credentials, which is really cool because then it can do some deeper scans and look for more vulnerabilities. We can also pass SMB credentials, ESXi credentials. That's for VMware virtualization. SMBs, that's Samba. That's Samba, right? I think that's Samba protocol. And then SSH is secure shell. So I don't really care about any of that. So we'll go ahead and start this immediately. And let's zoom out so it's a little easier to see. So after you run that, we'll see the task is in the requested state. And there's not a whole lot of information given to you. So you like to go to testing test, you click on the actual task. And at first this was confusing for me when I was first learning how to use this tool. I was like, oh, okay, where are my results? Like, where do I actually see what is coming over the wire? Where do I actually see all of my vulnerabilities? And that is by clicking on reports down here. So this little reports. And as you can see, I think I already have one log entry. And you can basically go down through and, okay, there's my status. And I have one log entry, or really not much has started at all yet. So it takes some time because it's scanning. But regardless, once things start popping up, you'll start seeing more bars here and more things here. And you can click on it and check it out. I think, yeah, this report is empty, so this is just basic report. It just started. So I recommend you guys maybe, you know, scan your home network, or, you know, use this for good. Use it for defense. Let's see. Believe results is nothing more than another overview of reports. It will just get all of your finished reports in there. And then I could go get my laptop real quick. Move that over here. And then I'll show you guys what a complete report looks like. How many of you guys have gotten it working? Got it working? Cool. Coolio. Grab my password here. This is a super helpful tool in the enterprise field, or I guess in modern day corporate world. What's used a lot is referred to as Nessus, and Nessus was essentially OpenVAS like years ago, but then went all to be paid to be used. So you could basically get almost all the same features and everything else just by using OpenVAS. Let's see here. It's over. Where's this bad boy? There, we're here. Press this button.
You got to plug into this.
Ah,
You're using VGA.
Alright, so this is what I'm showing you after some scans have been run. So here you can see a little network topology map. This is just, I've auto refresh every 30 seconds up. So it shows me all the computers that were connected on this network here. You can see, I think the gateway for that network was .95, and these might be VMs on it, or who knows, there are other networks on it. So we can just see associations. That's kind of nice to look at. We can go into reports again. And you see how it populates now. And we could just click on our highest reports. And then, you know, we'll click on this one then. Right here. Then we could go to results under tasks. This is just another way of getting there. And there down to the highs. So when you're deploying a box on a corporate network, it's always a good idea to vulnerability test it too. So having something like this on your machine is very useful. So even if it's on Docker. So here these are vulnerable to a ping flood. So I'll tell you how to fix it. Upgrade your black eye software, remove it. It's 99% confident in this. Does anyone have any questions? I know we covered this last week, and you know,
Huh?
What does like the CDC use instead of this?
We use vulnerability scanners too. I mean, I've used OpenVAS.
Specific one?
No.
Is there like enterprise level?
There's enterprise level ones. Like a lot of enterprises use Nessus.
Okay.
So Nessus is a really great vulnerability scanner, but you have to pay like $3,000 a year for it. Not about that. So.
But is the UI like much better?
The UI is better. The UI is a lot better. But I mean, you can essentially get all the same results off of this. Chris, is there anything you'd like to add? Okay. So go ahead and run some scans on yourself, or do not run it on the local network.
It is only $1,200 for Nessus.
$1,200 for Nessus?
$1,500 the first time, every successive year.
Okay, yeah, it's a little off, double the price.
Only 100% off.
Yeah, only 100. No big deal. No big deal. Cool.
You guys got working on right now?
I kept running out of space on mine.
Kept running out of space?
It's like 3.5 gigs. Something.
Did your skin come back alright?
Mine? Yeah, I got it.
Should all be from this design stuff. It's more fun to run into the What were you guys saying? Yeah. This guy. This guy.
Yeah, well, everyone got it.
Things that matter still.
Oh, virus. That's the thing that comes up.
Wow.
That's literally their own thing. Yeah, this is.
I think that's just like Rust ads.
Try scanning your actual local host. I think you just scanned your own container.
Yeah, you can scan the Cybersecurity. Oh, it might be bad.
I feel like they put it on the computer just so they can.
No, pop up. Just like it's like.
Oh.
Scan. Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? I could have made it angry. Got mad at me. Doesn't want to. I do start Has everyone signed in to our Slack and signed in on the sign-in sheet? You guys signed in on the sign-in sheet? You guys signed in on the sign-in sheet? You should get the Slack on your phone. Totally get the Slack.
No, it was sign-in sheet post automatically every week.
Dope, thank you. Yes. Do you want to make give one announcement?
Yeah.
On social
Like here or just in the Slack? Hey guys, I just want to reiterate one more time. This Friday at 6 p.m., Baldwin 649, we're doing a social event. I'm going to be bringing board games. You're more than welcome to bring whatever it is you want to do. If you want to bring cards, if you want to bring like a console, or like a, whatever your gaming desktop is, you're more than welcome to.
If you bring tech in, I'll feature it.
I'll have Guardians Against Humanity bigger talk about it.
Yeah, AJ will fight you. He's a Street Fighter guy. He doesn't like Tekken.
Oh, so I should bring in some gloves.
Yeah, oh, dude, bring in the gloves. Bring in the gloves.
Is this the same room we had last time?
Yeah.
No. It's in Baldwin 649.
Okay.
We were on like the 7th floor last time.
Okay. Does this projector have an HDMI input for PlayStation unlike the last one?
Send out an email to like the East Hills.
Dude, I gotta start listening. I used to listen to podcasts at work.
Yeah, he doesn't go like super technical, just 'cause he goes through so many steps.
That's really cool, dude.
I get around to it.
What's up?
Yeah, I'm just feeling this. How am I gonna like this? I actually use like this
I'm not very active.
Oh yeah. Just next time, I'll go with you.
Okay.
In person.
Oh, in person.
People don't
Or
really
rather,
in person
outside.
enough.
We didn't get it.
Oh, really?
Dude, I went to the Bengals game with the niece of the owner of the Bengals wearing the Steelers jersey. We were up in like VIP seats. Everyone was Bengals, and then you see me and friends Tom, we're Steelers, and we're just yelling out of the video. It was funny. Of course. I'm not a traitor. That's not hilarious. But yeah, we got there really good kill. Because that was the game that Juju hit perfect really hard, like, got suspended and stood over him. And of course I was shouting real loud, I was like, yeah, get him! And the guy, sit yourself down. I was like,
did you see OBJ got traded to the Browns?
no, I didn't know. Wait, what?
Yeah, dude, he got traded to the Browns. Like, what the fuck? I forget who he got traded.
Dude, the Browns are high-key gonna be good this year.
Dude, they got Jordan Nelson from the Packers. And I'm a Packers fan. I'm so pissed.
Dude, high-key, the Browns are gonna be good. They got rid of the bad No, the Chiefs, their GM is now the GM of the Browns.
Yeah.
And, like, he kept everything in a high gear. Like, he's like, dude, we have all this cap space, let's just spend it all. I'm like, oh.
But I kind of like when the Browns are bad.
Yeah, as a Steelers fan, so do I. You know, we always play down to them when we play them. They're like, guys, let's be bad this week too. And like, it'll be a close game.
I was in the Browns and Packers game last year in December, and holy shit, I was so scared because it went overtime. I was like, no, the one game that the Browns are gonna win is against the Packers. I'm so pissed.
Since their servers
I've gotten most of these things.
That is not one of the major intelligence sharing countries. So like if you had your servers in Germany shares states and intelligence with US,
I just want to open the McAfee virus and
all these countries, governments, they all freely
you open those?
trade their information.
This is because it's the free school.
Any information
I fully blame.
the omnibus bill like last week.
Well, I had Norton. Norton is also.
Did you ever get out of your ticket?
Yeah, I got rid of Norton.
Did you get out of your ticket? Hold on, please report that.
Say goodbye. Just say goodbye.
It's in Oxford. I don't have to go because my lawyer's going.
It says everything.
They started fighting you.
I see it.
So that's annoying as shit. You have to deal with that.
I'm just glad he's getting rid of it.
I just want to use like,
I got 2 points on my charge sheet and I forgot. They were supposed to use it, and they said they were going to bring it up. And I was like, yeah, that's really no problem. And they made a violation, but they didn't know they should. So I got a copy of the ticket to use as a it doesn't have no violation. So he goes,
make mine work.
this he got charged for penalized now. Obviously, there was a dealing with he didn't get I don't check.
Was that a written deal?
It was verbally communicated these things.
What? Did it have a recording? Like,
There was someone sitting there right but it doesn't even need to be that. Lawyer can just go to someone and be like, look, it's a small court. Obviously, there was a deal made because he got charged for something he wasn't even cited.
right. That's annoying shit.
So they're going to probably take that to our privacy.
Yeah, I found a Pittsburgh.
Minimize the
Dude, he leaves
Something fun about it. Yeah, dude, this is nice. Are you getting? What are you getting at this? They started shipping over to 7 grades. So you do finances too, so.
Hopefully by the end of the summer.
But you can also add Spotify so you can be playing.
I have 2 of these now.